Well, Krystal, while you were gone, we covered this little Rogan getting COVID, the media wishing he got sick, them calling it horse dewormer. Rogan himself took notice of CNN consistently labeling him like a conspiracy theorist and saying that he had horse dewormer. Here's what he had to say.
Oh, man.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
I don't know. Do you?
They're making shit up. They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor. It's an American company.
Mm-hmm.
They won the Nobel Prize in 2015 for use on human beings.
Yeah.
And CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Yeah. What? So
They must know that that's a lie.
There's a lot of people saying it.
Right, but a lot of people can say it.
Okay, yeah.
Like the internet says it, who cares?
sure,
But
it's,
CNN is saying it. Like,
Joe's only mistake is putting in more trust in CNN to be different than the internet.
Than
But
the random people.
This really was an egregious news cycle because it wasn't just about Rogan. It was all of these fake stories about ERs filling up with people who were being poisoned by ivermectin, by seeking the horse version. Yes, actually, I found out I was giving my dog her heartworm medicine. It's also ivermectin. And I was like, oh, maybe I should take some. I was like, I was going to post a joke, then I realized it actually could probably go way
do
too
that.
far. Look,
People don't like the
yes, it is against parasites. So it is both used in humans and animals. That'd be like giving a horse aspirin and then calling all people who take aspirin horse painkiller takers or something like that. Completely ridiculous. Many people have been prescribed it by a doctor, as has been seen throughout the pandemic. We're not recommending it or anything. As I said, even in my whole monologue, the evidence around ivermectin is actually pretty mixed. But the key is that they want people to actually get poisoned. And then they want, even worse, is that they want to have these stories about these rubes are such idiots that they're giving themselves poison and that they're ending up in the hospitals and they're holding legitimate people from getting the health care that they need. And that actually ended up being a completely and totally fake story that Rachel Maddow posted, that Twitter refused to label as disinformation. And really what it does go to show is that the media, the way that they handle this is because, look, the impetus is that they want people to get vaccinated. So they want to ridicule people who aren't and ridicule, what some people see as alternatives. But in doing that, they actually ended up purveying even more fake news. So
I don't really think they care about people getting vaccinated. I think they just care about the news cycle and ratings. And it reminds me so much of a million times this happened during the Trump era where he would do something that was objectively bad, stupid, terrible, whatever.
Right.
But it wasn't enough to just accurately portray that thing. They had to layer all this stuff on top of it. It had to be the P tape. It couldn't just be he was a little too friendly with these people and way too willing to be open to accepting their. It had to be an elaborate conspiracy. It had to be the P tape. It always was take whatever kernel of truth was there and amplify it a million times. And that's basically what they're doing with ivermectin. Ivermectin is not proven. One of the primary studies that was being used, that was being passed around to say that this thing was effective, had to be retracted. That looks like some of the evidence was falsified. That's a story in and of itself.
Yeah.
You could just lay out those facts that this is unproven, it's not FDA approved, this is not, something that's being recommended by doctors in this country by and large. That's enough. You don't have to label it, pretend like it's only used for livestock.
Exactly.
Because it's not.
Right.
And then that's easily disproven. And then people look at that and we're like, well, you're just lying here. And then what do you think that does to their trust in you when you're trying to, actually convey accurate information about the vaccines or whatever it is? So look, does Joe Rogan have a case against CNN? I don't think so.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I wouldn't say unfortunately. I think it should be a very high bar to sue for libel or slander especially when you're a public person. We saw this. There were cases against Tucker Carlson. There was also a case against Rachel Maddow where both of them ended up being tossed because it is a very, very high bar. You have to really directly, knowingly lie and slander someone with intent to do exactly
and
that.
you have to prove that too.
Again, especially when you're talking about a public person. So does he actually have a case here? No. Do I think he should have a case here? Probably not. Do I think think CNN should be accurate in their journalism and reporting? Of course I do.
See, that's the issue. And that's really what I mean is like, actually I agree. You know, in terms of the principle, I do think it should be an incredibly high bar because otherwise these politicians would use this all day long in order to try and get retractions.
It's another tool of censorship.
All it is take a look at, you know, the actual depths to both where they will sink in terms of how they will cover it on the air. But really what bothered me most about it was, and I'm not sure, I think you were probably off at this time, Krystal, but the New York Times sent a push notification to its millions of people, being like, Joe Rogan has COVID. They were celebrating it. I mean, they really enjoyed the fact that he was sick. And I just think that comes from a deep and dark place because it's the same thing about ridiculing, going after people. Same thing with ivermectin, these idiots. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel, we covered that segment. They were talking about horse goo. The lack of nuance and the celebration of people who are not doing what they want them to do is only, number one, hardening it. And number two, you end up spreading just as much fake news as the anti-vaxxers who are like, people are dropping dead left and right from the vaccines. Like, that's literally not true, right? You end up playing around in the same category, but they also face no consequences for spreading that type of misinformation, and that really is a problem, especially online.
I do want to say, I do find the mentality interesting, though, of people who are like, super like absolutely not. I'm not gonna put the vaccine into my body, but then they're willing to like try hydroxychloroquine or whatever random supposed treatment happens to be hot in right-wing circles right now. It's an interesting mentality. I'll just say that.
It's not a mentality that we subscribe to, but to each their own. So there you go.
There you go. All right, guys. Enjoy your weekend. We'll have more for you later. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.